All right, so in this video, I'm gonna go over the top 5 questions that I get asked from people that are thinking about making a move here to the city of Winchester, California. Hopefully it's good information for you guys and helps you and your family out with your move. So let's go ahead and get into it. Hey guys, hey again, my name is Justin Short. I'm a realtor and team leader with the Short Real Estate team here at Keller Williams in Temecula. And this video is all about the top 5 questions that I get asked the most from people that are thinking about making a move here to the city of Winchester. So I'm gonna go over my list. I hope it's good information for you guys, and hopefully it's a help to you and your family if you are thinking about making a move to the city of Winchester. You know, Winchester's not quite as well known as some of the surrounding cities, but you know, hopefully it's good information for you guys. And I think for a lot of people, it can be a great place and it can be a great value. I mean, I lived there when I was younger. We probably lived there for like 7-8 years. So I think I have some really good experience and give you some personal experience on what it's really like to live there. But before I get to all the information, if you are liking real estate videos like this, please do me a favor. Please hit like, please hit subscribe to the channel. Obviously it helps me and it helps my channels where I try to continue to grow it. And then if you want to stay on top of more real estate videos here with all local real estate content, I think this is the best way to do that. We have new videos that we come out with each and every week. So from videos going over the cities of Temecula, Murrieta, and Menifee, obviously Winchester and Wildomar and some of the surrounding areas as well. But talking about best neighborhoods, worst neighborhoods, the questions we get asked the most, some different neighborhood tours, things like that. So if you want to stay on top of those, that's the best way to do that. And then if you guys have any real estate questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. You're gonna see my information either at the end of the video or down below. You're gonna see my phone number, my email. You can feel free, you can call, you can text, you can email me. Happy to answer any questions you may have or help point you in the right direction. Or of course, if I can help you out with your real estate search, I'd love to be a resource for you. Obviously, that's how I earn a living. I would love the opportunity to help you and your family. But if not, hopefully it's good information for you guys. So cool. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get into my questions here. And again, we're gonna go over the top 5 questions that I get asked the most from people that are making a move to the city of Winchester. I guess before I get into it, just kind of general lay of the land. A lot of people I talk to actually are not super familiar with Winchester, or really haven't heard of it before. So kind of where we're at. We are in southwest Riverside County. Probably the most well-known city in the area is the city of Temecula. And Temecula is located right off the 15 freeway that runs pretty north and south. So if you take the freeway south, that takes you towards San Diego. And Temecula is the furthest city south in the county of Riverside. So if you go any further south, you hit San Diego County. So Temecula is the most well-known, it's the biggest, it's most expensive, and probably most on the radar for people. A lot of it's because of Temecula wine country. So you have Temecula. The next city north is the city of Murrieta. That is relatively well known. They're very, very similar. It's a little bit less expensive, but very, very similar area. And then so Winchester, we're going to talk about, is a little bit more to the northeast. So Winchester does butt up to, you have borders, the city of Murrieta and the city of Temecula in a few spots. And then it also shares some borders with the city of Menifee up there as well. So it's a little bit more northeast. It can be a little confusing because if you're looking at a map, there's also a road that's called Winchester Road. That's a freeway, that's a main road, it's a freeway, it's an exit off the 15 freeway. So it could be a little confusing, but basically if you were on that freeway, that 15 freeway, and you exited on Winchester Road and you took that northeast, that is eventually gonna take you to the city of Winchester. A little bit of a hike, it's probably 15-20 minutes or so up the road, but that is where it's at. So it's a little bit, can be a little bit confusing for people. But when people are considering to make a move to Winchester, really the number one question I get is they ask me about French Valley. What is French Valley? Is French Valley a good area? Should I think about moving to French Valley? What does that mean? And so the answer is yes. I think French Valley is a really nice area. And I think this will kind of help me to divulge or get into a little more info that I think will help. All right, so that takes me to the first question, and really the question I get asked the most when people are thinking about making a move to the city of Winchester, and that is, what about French Valley? Should I move to French Valley? Is it a good area? Is it a bad area? And what is it? So it can be a little bit confusing, but basically the short answer is yes. I think French Valley can be a really nice area for a lot of people. That's actually where I lived. When I was younger. It was actually my parents bought a house. When I was a teenager, or before I was a teenager, and I lived there for I guess eight or 9 years until I was like 20 years old, right? So I grew up there. That's where I lived when I went to high school. And we were one of the first tract homes out there, a long time ago now, 25, 26 years ago. And the area's changed a ton, but still have a lot of friends that live there, and obviously a lot of clients and all that different type of stuff. So, but if you look at a map, and if you look, Google, the city of Winchester, California, if you look at the size of it, it's a very large footprint. It's a lot of acreage, I guess is how you would say that, but it's a very, very large area. But if you really start kind of looking at it, this area in the city of Winchester is divided up into two areas. So you have more the northern city of Winchester, and you have the southern city of Winchester. And when people refer to French Valley, they are referring to the southern area and southern section of the city of Winchester. It's a little confusing because a lot of it actually isn't within city limits. It's actually just county, but that's kind of getting to the weeds, but it is the southern area. The city of Winchester is French Valley. And the reason that they differentiate so much is that southern area is a largely tract home area. There's many different builders. They've been building there for like 25, 26 years, but that area feels very similar to the cities of Temecula and Murrieta. And that's because Temecula and Murrieta are big suburban areas, right? Sprawled out, shopping centers, all that different type of stuff. And so as those areas built out and prices went up and up, the builders started spreading out towards this and into the city of Winchester, and you started seeing that area of French Valley develop. So basically, French Valley is that southern section of Winchester, suburban area. There's a good amount of shopping centers now that didn't used to be there, and it's an area that is continuing to grow as the area is built. And I think it's a really good area. I think a lot of people will drive through there and they think it's a part of Murrieta or Temecula, but that is actually Winchester, and it's that French Valley area. The second part of Winchester is that northern area. You have a bunch of rural land between these two areas that we're talking about. But on the other side of that rural land is the northern part of Winchester, and that becomes like off Dominguez Parkway or Newport Road. You'll kind of see those on a map, and the areas are pretty disconnected. That northern area is newer over the last 10, 11 years or so. There is now a lot of tract homes that have been built out there. So there's probably, if I had to guess, about 3,000 to 4,000 tract homes that have been built over the last decade. There is now, over the last couple of years, a few shopping centers that are finally being built. And it's an area that is definitely continuing to grow. It is less expensive. So if you're just looking at like pure price point, the area of northern Winchester is quite a bit less expensive than the area of French Valley in that southern Winchester area, and it's a pretty big disconnect. There could probably be $150,000 to a $200,000 price swing between the two, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I think we'll talk about that as we get into some of these other questions, but in general, that's what French Valley is. It's that southern section of Winchester. That's where I have a lot of experience at. That's where I lived. I have clients that live in both, and it is an area that I think is pretty nice, and most people don't even realize that's not a part of Temecula or Murrieta. All right, so that's going to take me to question number 2, and that is, what school district will my children belong to if we decide to move out to Winchester? And I guess, like a lot of questions, the answer is it depends. So there's actually 3 different school districts that can service the city of Winchester. So again, we have kind of those 2 splits: southern Winchester, that French Valley area, that northern Winchester area. If you live in that northern Winchester area, you will be assigned to the Paris Valley Unified School District. So that district is not rated as highly as the other 2 that we're going to talk about. So a lot of people do try to be in the higher rated school districts, which is going to be more in that southern area, more in that French Valley area. So in the French Valley area, it's a unique situation, but most of that area is zoned for the Temecula Valley School District, which is a very, very highly rated school district. And then a portion of that area is also zoned for the Murrieta Valley School District. So it can vary. If you look at, you can look at the school district lines on a map. Basically, the divider is Winchester Road, it's a main road that runs through the city. Anything on the, I guess that would be the south side of Winchester Road is going to be a part of Temecula School District. Anything on the north side of Winchester Road is going to be in the Murrieta School District. So it just depends. Those there's three different districts. You could be Temecula, it could be Murrieta, or you could be Paris. The two Temecula and Murrieta, the two lower schools for that service that southern area, are definitely rated higher. The ratings are higher there for sure. Especially once you get up to the middle school and high school levels. And because of that is one of the major contributing factors to that French Valley area being more expensive. We talked about the big price swing between French Valley and that northern Winchester area. Homes in French Valley are quite a bit more expensive because of the school district. And then the other factor is it's just a heck of a lot closer to the cities of Temecula and Murrieta, like the malls and the restaurants and all the freeways, all that different types of stuff. So that's the answer, the three different school districts. All right, and then the third question that I get asked the most is, what will my property taxes be and what is going to be my property tax rate? And again, it depends. General rule of thumb, older homes are going to have lower tax rates and newer homes are going to have higher tax rates. So if you're not super familiar in this area, it's not just the city of Winchester, but really most parts of Southern California, but newer construction homes tend to have higher taxes. They tend to have more special assessments, or what they used to call Melrose, and that affects how much you pay in property tax every year and every month. So if you're going to go buy a home in Winchester, your tax rate could vary from an older home that is going to have a tax rate like 1.1%, almost 1.2%. That'd be a very, very low tax home. And then if you go up to a newer home, like some brand new construction, you might be up to a home that's going to be north of 2%. I've seen up to 2.2% in Winchester. So that's a really big difference, right? That's a 1% swing. If you're looking at a $500,000 home, that is a difference of $5,000 a year in taxes. So it is a big deal. It is something that you really, really want to pay attention to if you are going to buy a home in Winchester. And that really, the year built is your best rule of thumb. Of course, the real estate agent can always check that for you and let you know what those taxes are going to be. They should be able to do that really, really quickly. It can be a little bit harder for you as a consumer to pull that up, but general rule of thumb, anything 2003 and older tends to be on that lower tax side, and then as you get 2004 and newer, you start to see those higher and higher taxes, and then anything newer than 2010, we saw an even bigger increase, and that's where you start to see a lot of them north of that 2% area. So each neighborhood is different. There's not one solid, hard and fast rule that that you can necessarily pay attention to. But in general, year built really swings things a lot, and there are some outliers on each side of that. But that if you are going to buy a home in Winchester, because those taxes do vary so much, it is something that you really want to pay attention to and make sure you know what you're getting into. All right. And then the next question I get, so question number 4. When you are looking at homes in Winchester, is what about new builds? Is buying a new construction home a good idea? Should it be something that I do, something that I don't? And again, there are pros and cons. I think new construction can be a great option for people. Right now, not all of, but most of the new construction is going to be more in that North Winchester area. There is still some that is happening in that French Valley area, and as that area is continuing to grow, but it's not near as much. So most of the new construction is up in that that North Winchester area. So before you decide if I have to have a new home, really think about the area. Would I rather have something a little bit less expensive, or a decent amount less expensive, and be more in that North Winchester area, or would I rather have something a little bit more expensive and be a part of that southern French Valley area? So I think that's probably more the question that you want to ask. But I've bought 2 different new construction homes myself. I've been really happy with them, so I think there are a lot of pros with new construction, but there's definitely some cons as well. So the pros would be, if you go with a new home, you're going to see a lot of builder incentives right now. I mean, it's early 2026 that I'm filming this. And we're seeing more incentives from builders than ever. So we're seeing from closing cost credits to buying appliances. I've seen builders willing to build or I install, maybe install is the right word, but install a backyard for people, which is something that I'd never seen before. I've seen, some rate buy down credits that they're offering. So to temporarily lower your interest rate, 2% or 3%. And sometimes it's not even temporary. Sometimes they're going to lower the interest rate for the next 30 years. So there are a lot of really nice incentives that are out there. You will also see a lot of times they're going to offer some lower interest rates. And honestly, it's just kind of nice to move into a brand new home. I think most everybody likes the idea of that, be able to move into something that nobody has ever lived in. No one's ever painted the walls. No one's ever, never put their clothes in the closet. No one's ever dinged the drywall. And you get it's a brand new home. So it's, I think there's a lot to like with that. But there's definitely some cons too. So when you move into a new construction home, you're going to have to put some money into the backyard, unless the builder does that. But that's still pretty rare. But if you're going to have to do it yourself, it's always quite a bit more expensive than you think. Really, you're kind of a minimum $15,000 and up. It could be well north of 50, depending on how fancy you want to go or what exactly it is that you want to do there. And then again, when we are looking at new construction, one of the other big cons are those higher taxes. You're going to see pretty much across the board, everything's going to be just about 2%, maybe a little bit over, maybe a little bit under, but quite a bit higher. And that's just going to be, one of the downsides of buying new construction. You're definitely going to have those higher taxes. And then the fifth question that I get asked all the time is Winchester a good area, and how does it compare to the bigger cities of Temecula, Murrieta, and even how does it compare to Menifee? And the answer that I give people is yes, I do think Winchester is a really great area. Like pretty much all my other answers, I guess I'll have a caveat. There's pros and cons, right? Not any one area is going to be perfect for anybody. The pros to Winchester is it's less expensive. You can get more for your money. A lot of times the lots are a little bit bigger there as well. And depending on what part, if you're going to be in the French Valley area or the Winchester area, you can still be a part of a really good school district if that's important to you. I think school district's important. I have young kids, so that's something that's always been a big factor for us. But you may not have kids or not necessarily care about that. Although school districts do help for resale value, so that is something to think about. But on the flip side, Winchester does not have as much established businesses, as many established businesses as Temecula or Murrieta for that matter. It is a little bit further out, so if you are commuting, it's going to add some time to your commute for sure. If you don't have to worry about that, that takes away one of the biggest pain points from living in Winchester is just the location, a little bit further out. But it is also a developing area, so there are new shopping centers that are being built each year. There's new stores that are going in, and I think because of the quality of life, it gets better each and every year for people. But as that area continues to fill in, it can be a little frustrating. Hey, I don't have a dry cleaner I can go to, right? The nearest dry cleaner is 15 minutes away. So they're just things that when you are living in a growing area, that you don't necessarily have those conveniences today, but in 3, 4, 5 years, odds are that they are going to be there. But it's definitely more affordable. You can definitely get more for your money. And then just even compared to like the city of Menifee, Winchester's not quite established as much. Menifee's just bigger, has more business. Winchester is building, and it will eventually have more and more of that. But when you live in Winchester, you end up going to Temecula, you end up going to Murrieta, you end up going even to Menifee for a lot of those amenities as Winchester continues to build. So anyways, I hope that's good information for you guys. Hopefully it helps you with your search. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. You can call, you can text, you can email, and hopefully talk to you soon. Thanks.